really need the Kabbalah. You need the Drush and the Remas, and you need Amkus and divine inspiration you will have in that field. I came into the world because I could reveal the Seder Kabbalah. That's that's why I came in. But we don't have to cross paths necessarily. On that Indian, it's not for you. So after that, he's coming a stuff like the Alchi, telling a story about a shlop, so he's already been Mekayim L'Poel. So he realized it. So therefore, it's Kabbalah V'Yadenu that the Sefer that he wrote on the Torah is divinely inspired Drut. Very high level. So I looked up in the Moshe Olsey, what does he have to say about that? And he says that, and I'll soon tell you what the Friedrich Rebbe says now Yom Yom about this. And he says like this, he said, for sure, people have to have laws, and it's enough for people to sit down and work out what are their laws, and it can be done. And he said that's what's done in the majority of nations in the world. But he said Yidden is everything which has got to do with what appears to be a necessity is only if Hashem says it's a necessity, then it's a necessity. And if you do come to the conclusion that it's a necessity, then you have to find out from Hashem, what does he say, the resolution of that necessity? How do you go about it? And he said that brings to two results. What is the first result? That when you do something which has got to do between, let's say, Chas v'Sholem, I punched him on the nose and I damaged his nose or something, like we have in the Parsha, So then I got to look up in the Gemara and the Shulchan Aruch, what do I do and how do we do it? And we go to the Bezdin and we go here and over there, with all these things on him. So he says normally that's a way of getting rid of a problem. He said here it's a way of being mekadesh and sanctifying with a divine emanation, two people that for some unfortunate reason they quarreled, or they differed on a certain point, or somebody took away his money, or who knows what. So he said when they do that, they become elevated and they become sanctified by that. In addition to that, he said they bring down through that bracha, Batzlocha, into the Jewish people and themselves, for sure. That Ali Dezeh, since this is a divine matter, and it's not just something that they decided to do, through keeping what appears to be a rather, unfortunate little necessity, through that they will bring bracha v'atzlocha onto the Jewish people. And therefore there's a Gemara in Masechta Bava Metzia, and the Gemara says what was one of the reasons that the Geula, the destruction of the base of, I came up first with the Geula, with the destruction of the base of Mikdash, what they got to do with, that was because they didn't handle rightly with all the Mishpatim. Yeah. And we're going to see another example of that towards the end of the class. So from there we see that all what appeared to be a lot of necessities are not that way at all. They are all part of the divine plan. And just to add, and we'll deepen our approach to this in a second. The Friedrich Rebbe says in Ayom Yom, the Rebbe brings it down in Ayom Yom, that when we're davening in Biras Krishma, in the blessing before Shema in the morning, we say, V'nosan lanu chuchei chayim, you have given us the laws of life. Chuchei chayim, la'aseis v'teincho b'leiv ha'sholem, that we should do your will with a perfect heart. So comes along the Friedricher and he said, what does it mean, Chukei Chayim? The laws and the ordinances of life. So he said there's two ways you can understand that expression. You can say, you can understand Chukei Chayim means that I have life and I see how people live, I see what's going on. On that basis, I worked out what would be a good way to sort of avoid trouble. I made a law. But what has really happened is that the life has obliged me to come to the law. So they're called Chukei Chayim. Or he said there's another way that you can understand that, and he said that the Chukim, they themselves make the law. In other words, Chukei Chayim means they are the Chukim of making life. Meaning that you see that there's certain necessities, but if you approach with the divine, what Hashem tells you, then you make life. People will live better and the whole world will be better because of those Chukim. The Chukim will bring people to be alive, which means that if you know about those Chukim and you live with them, even without keeping them, you're making life for the Jewish people. You are causing laws which are the laws of life. So, from that, says the Moshe Rabbeinu Moshe also another, he goes at some length into another thing. And that is, that if that's the case, we've got 3 Masechtas in Shas that they deal openly with all of these, and then these laws occur in Ksubas and in Kiddushin and all over. And they are called the laws of the Nazikin, and you got Baba Kama, Baba Matzia, Baba Basha, big parts of the Shas. And in the Rambam, if you want to learn all the laws, Keseda, in the Rambam, it's a tremendous number of laws. Why does everybody have to learn all that? You go into a yeshiva, particularly by the literatures, they learn the whole time. Only what Baba Kama, Baba Machia, Baba Basha, Ketsuba. I say, we don't have a chance. Masechta Shabbos, maybe a chance. Why? Because the Gemara praises very much the learning of the Nazikin. The Gemara told, says in Masechta Baba Kama. So I thought the question, what do I need to know all these laws of the Nazikin? Spend years of my life studying all these laws and learning Tosfos and then learning the Rosh and the Rishonim and then getting into the Poskim and the Tur and then the Shulchan Aruch and the whole thing. I'm going to be a Dayan and a Bezin. Maybe one person in thousands, how much thousands, will actually be a Dayan and a Bezin. I'm pasking these laws. And if something came up with it, you had a problem with another person, and he damaged you, just a little bit, so I'd like to see him. Yeah? No, not because I'm checking you out. It's good to see you. You go and ask a Rav. You're not going to paskin that he has to do this, or he has to give me this, or I owe him, or he owes me. And you're going to go to the Bezin anyway and ask them. And you're going to approach the Rav, or the Rabbanim, Lashon Rabbim. You're not going to paskin. So Kumtois, why do thousands of Bochrim all over the world sit and hours a day, they hakarayin, in these laws, the laws of the Nazikin. And Baba Basha is a huge Masechta. Baba Matzia, not all that far behind. Baba Kama is a little bit smaller. These are big time. And people learn Chosh and Mishpat, the special kolos. They have to learn the whole time Chosh and Mishpat. They really intend being Dayanim, Elamai. What does he say to Rabbeinu Moshe Halsik? He said that since these things are Misinai, These things are Hashem's will. And if you learn and you cook in Hashem's will, then like the Frierdiker Rebbe said, you make life. You bring life for the Jewish people. And maybe you make it hundreds and hundreds of times less likely that all these things will happen. Because you are creating pure life directly from the Meibushan, from Hashem. Now people will live different. They wouldn't dream of damaging another person or who knows what. If, chas v'sholem, something happens, then you go to the Dayan. Oh, but you got to learn all that. And you got to spend time, and you got to break your head and give away the best koiches and the best time of your life learning all these halachos. Because they create the infinite life in this world. They, under of it, they make life. And that's what the Zakenim brought at the beginning. That since these people are genuinely alive and they're heading for more and more life all the time, you got to be careful what you do with them. You got to be very, very careful what goes on here. It's got to be all arranged in a very special way. And all these laws are hinted very high in Yana. So that takes us even further. And that is that ask yourself the question, L'choira, let's say, Benjamin,
yes.
Let's say that you're having a happy day, Be'ez Hashem, and therefore you're besimcha, and you're going away, and all of a sudden somebody comes up and he makes off with your money or something happens, or, there's a mishap, something goes on. So I thought the Shaila, what is happening here? Benjamin was perfectly okay, and all of a sudden somebody stole from him, or like we said, somebody chas v'sholem, Cholila v'chas gave him a punch on the nose, or who knows what, all sorts of things can happen. So I thought the question, what is all this about? What is happening here? So it comes along the Alter Rebbe in Tanya, in the Geras HaKodesh, chapter 25. And the Alter Rebbe says a very amazing thing. And that is, that the Alter Rebbe says you're not allowed to get angry.
What?
You must never get angry.
What do you mean, I must never get angry?
Not even with the police, Moshe. You mustn't get angry. Mustn't get angry. And Adarabba, it's not clear exactly where our sages said this, but they said, and the Alter brings it, that if you get angry, it's like as if you're serving a Avodah Zarah.
Yeah.
Avodah Zarah, that's pretty heavy going. So the Alter Rebbe says, for Buish, Lama. So he says, because everything is Ashgacha Pratias. Let's say that something happened to you. That's what Hashem wanted that it should happen. So if you really believe that everything's from Hashem, and that had to happen to you. Since that had to happen to you, take it easy, Thank Hashem. He didn't give us something a lot worse. Oh man, you have to be calm and don't be angry. So that means that it was min hashomayim, that if chas v'sholem, something negative happened to you through another person, it had to happen to you. Hashem knew that you needed some sort of a fixing, a tikkun, some sort of inyan, so you had to lose, you had to be damaged, you had to fix you up. That's why you're not supposed to get angry. But if that's the case, then what's the other guy to blame? Why should the other guy have to pay me Why should he get punished? He just did me a favor. I needed a tikkun, and he did it for me. Why should I have to pay him? Why should he be mechuyev? Why does he have to pay me? And why should he be mechuyev b'klal to see the whole thing negatively? I'm not supposed to see it negatively, but nonetheless, if he comes and forks out money to me, I can take the money for good to go and put it inside my pocket, and that's it. Question. So says the Alter Rebbe an amazing thing. The Alter Rebbe says that Ein Hanami, it had to happen to you anyway. But he said you didn't have Bechira. And the fact that this guy did it to you means that he chose to do it. If he chose to do it, then he did it deliberately. And therefore there's two factors are working here. One factor is that you got to put up with it anyway. You got to, because Hashem wants to fix you up, wants to even take. But nobody told him that he should be the Shaliach. Right. And the Alter Rebbe says, the Gemara tells us that Haba Shluchim Lamakom, HaKadosh Baruch has got thousands of Shluchim. He can give you a damage anyway, who knows that? Why did Pliny have to make a choice? I thought you were going to Hebron today.
Yeah, there was no bus.
You didn't go to Hebron?
There was no bus.
You missed the bus?
There was no bus b'chlal.
There was no bus in there?
Yeah.
So why did you have to mix in, and you chose to be the Shliach? Yeah? So interesting, we got here in Cain, that this person had to get it, that happened to him anyway.
Yeah.
The Abisha could have done that in thousands of ways.
Yeah. Right.
He didn't need you to mix in and be the Shliach.
Yeah.
You decided to be the Shliach. Follow?
Yeah.
Yeah, therefore, says the Alter Rebbe, both things are true. You had to get whatever damage happened to you, but he has got to give up how do you call it, a calculation, a din v'cheshbon to Hashem, and he's got to also pay or be punished because he mixed in and he chose to be the Shliach. And I know we got like two very fascinating. And so from that we see that the whole picture of a damage, and that is a very profound inyan. Very, very profound. Zach. Pili prayers. Fanazak. Therefore, to work out, how the guy pays back, and how is he going to be matakim what he did? And what does that mean like over you, that you were matakim? It's a very profound and tremendously deep in it. Therefore, you need Hashem to point out how do these things really happen, because Hashem doesn't do anything that's not for a tikkun. Everything Hashem does is in order to only add. There's no taking away by Hashem. You know the Maaseh what happened? That the RABBI once caused a whole field to be full with golden coins. You know the whole story. And he said to the Talmudim, go out and take, And after a while they thought, and they said, no, we would prefer to earn it ourselves. We don't want to just take money, bakshi, So the RABBI made another nest and they took the money back from heaven. And they said that's one of the biggest nisim, the Gemara says, that's one of the biggest nisim that ever happened. Because from heaven they only give, they don't take away. No, you have to fall off your chair. The Gemara said, No, they didn't. The Gemara says that from heaven they only give, they don't take back. Rashbi was such an amazing figure that he persuaded heaven to take it back. Yevusha only gives. Nishton, ein Nishton. But he's got to decide, he's got to work out how all this functions. And that's what these Mishpatim are. It's all tremendously profound in Yonim, that this one had to have a tikkun, this one he chose wrong, he's got to have a tikkun, and that brings to another guy that's got to have a tikkun, and that's got to be this way and this way. It's happening. And therefore, it can only be Misinai. It's got to come from the Avis. It's got to come. These are, in some ways, more profound even in their ultimate option, regarding the Olam, I feel their source of difference. They're not less than their source of difference. Let's put it that way. So, even more, I'm running a bit out of time. And you guys can say it's getting too heavy, but I'm going to just add to that what I just said now, and this is mamish, this is Pili place. That is, at the beginning of the Zohar HaKodesh in this week's parsha, it says, Eilu HaMishpatim, says the Zohar HaKodesh that all these psukim that deal with the Mishpatim are the sword of the Gilgal. There's a whole big passage in the Zohar that nobody understands. It's very hard to follow. What's it all about? And it's got to do with the secret of Gilgal. You know what Gilgal is? Gilgal is like the Neshamas, why they come and how and under what conditions. Right. They come back into the world even though they've been here once already. Yeah. That's called sort of Gilgal. Everybody says, what's these psukim, that's Eved Ivri, and, this person knocked somebody else, and this one beat somebody, and this. What's that got to do with Soda Gilgal? What's good with Gilgal? So it came along the Baal Shem Tov, and the Baal Shem Tov said an amazing thing. The Baal Shem Tov said like this, let's say, okay, somebody damaged you, or somebody stole from you, and you went to the Beis Din, and you know for sure that this guy's wrong and you're right. Over the dinners, you have to go to the Beis Din. He tells us that he's right. But you know for sure what the real situation is, but he's taking you to Beis Din, so you go to Beis Din. And the Beis Din paskin for him. And you have to pay up. Would you feel very happy about that? No. I know for sure, deep inside, I know what happened. As I know that I'm not wrong. But the Dayonim, paskin wrong, they didn't understand the whole thing right. They paskin against me and I have to pay out money to a crook. So the Baal Shem Tov said, what do you do in such a situation? So he said, you have to go home and say l'chaim. And he could, keep a secret little bit of mashki hidden away at the house, especially for special occasions, you say l'chaim. Trouble is, so the Baal Shem Tov said like this. What it means is that you, in a previous Gilgal, in your previous Gilgal, you did something that you damaged somebody, and they never paskin, and it never came that you paid. Wow. He said, hey, come into this Gilgal, you still got to pay up. Yeah. They don't forget that in business. So, what happens is that a whole mitzvah occurs, and they take money out of you, even though they say, wait a minute, I didn't do anything. So the answer is, you didn't do anything. In the Gilgal, you did. I asked myself the question, what's with the guy that he took the money? But he didn't do the right thing. He knows that he's not right, but he got the money. Yeah, so he got the money because he's a gilgul from the guy that you should have paid the money to. And he made a wrong choice. He'll have to give up a din v'cheshbon doing this gilgul or another one. Ad kan divrei habal Shem Tov. Yeah, when you see that, the whole thing becomes very, very spooky. You know, it's very, very, all sorts of amazing things are happening here, and it had to happen, and this is a Google, and this. He made a choice, but he didn't, but he did. He'll have to give up a din for that, but he's really a Google. How do you call it? It becomes very, very, very. However, all of this amazing complexity is only by people that anyway are going to come back for Gilgal, or they're into that whole, what you might call, Li, of Chaim Nitzchim. Over the Sheva Mitzvahs, B'nai Noach, tell the Goyim, they make the laws of your lives, whatever you'll do, just make sure you keep them. But they're not all this amazing complexity that we face here. And that's what it does, the Kenyim and the Balitesa is so profound with his moshel, you know. Bullseye. And therefore comes along Rashi, and Rashi says another pshat, Eila ha-mishpatim asher tosim lifneihem, means that you can only go to a Jewish Bezdin, but if you go to a Goysha court, then you're Mechalis Hashem, because Achil Hashem, and Ichway says, I don't want to go into what Rashi said. Very sharp, very, very sharp. And it's brought down in the great Rishonim that if you go to a Goysha court, when you could have gone to a Jewish Bezdin, and you cause Golas, Hashem, you mustn't go to the Goyim, you must only decide all of you only by you. So now we've got some idea why. Because if you go to the Goyim, even if you know, that's what Rashi says also, even if you know that in this particular matter, the Goyim are going to paskin the same way as what you didn't paskin, just in some details are like that. And you know, so you say, what's the matter where I go? Are they going to paskin the same way? No, you have to go to the Yidden. If you go to the Goyim, it's Chil Hashem. What's going to do with Hashem? I mean, they're going to paskin anyway. Now the Indian is that all this is most amazing, divine issue. And if you go to Goyim, they're not into that Beklal. Their whole in is that they made their laws to fit the situation. Yeah, what they call Ottoman law, you know, the Turkish law, and just a lot of baloney. You know. The whole thing is and that's what they have here in the courts here. And this is it's a whole mix-up, Ottoman law and English law and all that. Leave me alone. That's why you have to go only to Yidden. If you take it to where it's not Shayim Beklal, and the whole thing, this whole amazing pattern, doesn't exist. It's Achil Hashem. Achman Islam. Hashem Yirachim. As the Gemara says in Masechta Gittin, Eilech ha-dvorim shetosim lifneihem, lifnei Yisrael, v'lo lifnei umas ha'olam, chas v'shalom. Ja, וכל האלה, יהיה להם, אז מחלל השם, וגוירם גולס, all sorts of Hashem Yirachim. I could tell this story, but if I did, then I would take away too much time. I could tell you an amazing story.
Tell us.
And that is, that you know, there was a big Rav, and I was there to be very close to him. There was a big Rav in Bnei Brak called Rav Lander. The present Rav This is his son. He bought a Lulachaim too. And once, the Rav, the old Rav of London, he paskened a certain law in Bnei Brak when they get to a big shul, where a lot of people used it, but there was on the nights when they had chasnas, the people would come into the shul and there was like a mixture occurring between women and men there. And the Rav felt that was not proper at all, shouldn't be the way. Therefore he paskened that they can't make chasnas